Here's the second video for today, probably the last one for today. FHH 2.2, this is Frank's Hum 100, second day, second video. Now I want to tell you what you're going to see at the beginning of Much Ado About Nothing. I always do this with my students. I don't think there's harm in knowing what's coming, at least with the Shakespearean plays. Sometimes they'll say, oh, wait, you'll spoil it. Well, I tell the kids that they're not going to understand every word. This is Shakespeare. I mean, he wrote 400 years ago, and the language has changed. They're not going to understand 100% of it. I say they might understand 75% of it at first, but it'll grow. So, to make sure that they don't get put off and think, oh, I'm not going to understand what's going on here, I tell them what they're going to see at the beginning. The movie's going to open with a blank screen, and then you'll hear a woman's voice. And almost as quickly as you hear the woman's voice, you'll see words appear on the screen. And the words say, sigh no more, ladies. Sigh no more. Men were deceivers ever. In other words, stop going around being sad, women. That's just the way men are. They always deceived. 1 foot in sea and 1 on the shore. To one thing constant, never. Well, if someone's got 1 foot in the ocean and 1 on the shore, what are they? In the water or on the land? They're both. That's the way men are, she's saying. Then sigh not so, but let them go. And be you blithe and bonny. Blithe means cheerful, bonny means pretty. Converting all your sounds of woe, well, a sound of woe would be like boo-hoo, you're crying, into hey nonny nonny, which is nonsense. It's like saying fa-la, fa-la, who cares? Well, you hear that, and she says it very slowly. Then she begins to speak again, but about this point, you'll see something. Well, let me finish out what she's going to say. The next thing she's going to say is it's the second stanza of this ditty. Sing no more ditties, sing no more of dumps so dull and heavy. The fraud of men was ever so, since summer first was leafy. So don't go around singing sad songs. That's the way men always were. Fraud is another word for cheating. And how long has summer been leafy? It's always been leafy. That's the way men are. Then, sigh not so, but let them go, and be you blithe and bonny, converting all your sounds of woe into hey nonny nonny. I think the rest, she just repeats it. Well, this is pretty sarcastic. And you're going to find out that the woman that's in the tree is really down on men. But let me tell you what you're going to, oh, she's in the tree reading. I should have told you. Now, when you finally see something, the first thing you're going to see is you're puzzled, you're tricked. It's cleverly done. It's actually a painting. It's a painting of a villa in Italy. But almost immediately, it's a very accurate painting. Almost immediately, the camera then starts to pan to the left, and there you see the villa that's painted, and it's almost identical. Then you'll hear an old guy laughing. Well, that guy is Leonato. He's the guy who owns the villa. And the camera keeps panning along, and you see that people are out in the vineyard. They've been working, and they're enjoying a picnic. The men and women are sitting around on the grass, and their entertainment is that Beatrice is sitting in a tree reading from a book, and she's reading a poem. Now, some of the men object to the way she's dissing men, but we find out that's the way she is. As the camera goes along, you'll see a dark-haired girl named Hero, and they come to the end of it. Then suddenly a messenger comes riding up, the messenger, and he's got really big news. His news is that Don Pedro is approaching. Don Pedro. Well, Don Pedro is a soldier, and he's got a bunch of buddies. And they're not coming to fight, they're coming to vacation. They're going to spend some time visiting, and they're acquaintances. Now, immediately the girls get excited. Everyone gets excited because they're coming to visit. We find out that this guy's among them, Claudio, and everybody teases Hero because they know that Hero's got a thing for Claudio, and he's done good service. Beatrice asks about Benedict. She can't stand the man. She hates him. She calls him Signor Montanto, which is a nickname at first. And he's not even there to defend himself, and she's already saying mean things about him. You're probably not going to understand, I'm sure you're not going to understand everything you hear. I'll explain some of it in the next video. But she says mean things. And we find out early that there's just a thing where these two cannot be together without a skirmish of wit. That's what Don Leonato says about them. Every time they're together. Everybody else likes him fine. And she's likable too. But for some reason, the two of them hate each other. You'll see Don John. He's played by Keanu Reeves. Who's very recognizable, and he's always frowning and stern. You'll find out soon enough why that is. He's a miserable soul. And Benedict, you're going to see all these guys riding horses. It's all very exciting. They're going to be riding up on their horses. Benedict is the one with the blonde hair. That is, the actor is Kenneth Branagh. And this is so much his movie. He directed it, he wrote the screenplay, I think he produced it, he starred in it. It's a masterpiece of his. So that's Branagh. And then the one other thing I got to warn you about the bare butts. This is one of those spots where if I've got homeschoolers out there and there's little tiny kids and they never saw an adult's bare butt before, this is a little bit of a problem. At the beginning of it's not that kind of a movie. It's PG-13. It's not that kind of a movie. But it's English, and I think the Europeans have a different attitude toward bare butts. Anyway, at the beginning of it, what I did when I would show it in school was I'd put a piece of cardboard over the screen for this part because I wanted my students to hear it because it was so exciting. The orchestral score. How it is that there's bare butts is that the women go running to change their clothes, to clean up, because these guys are coming. And so they're all running through squealing and putting on clean dresses. There's about 7 handsome young guys coming. And the guys, when they ride into town, they're all dirty from their ride, dusty. So the first thing they want to do is clean up. A lot of times I don't take the time to tell this, but for me personally, I have such a memory when I see where the water they jump into, because that's the laundry of the villa. I lived in Brazil for 3 years, and I knew laundries like that, public laundries, these big tanks. And these guys are all jumping in the tanks and cleaning up because they want to look nice too. And so you'll hear splashing if you cover the screen or if you skip across this. The place where it'll start, when a guy runs a flag up a pole, at that point, if you're worried for some reason about, say, your child seeing this, it's not bad. Then there's where you should cover the screen. That's what I do, so you could still hear the music. Because the music is wonderful and there's all this excitement, it all builds. I know the movie well enough to know where the music changes and how it's safe to uncover it, but I guess if you're going this route, you just ought to wait till all the squealing stops. Then the soldiers walk up and meet Leonato, and when the two of them embrace each other, right there is just about where the first 10 minutes runs out. And that's where I'd like you to stop. I'd like you to not go any further because I would like to explain what's going to happen next. So, happy viewing. It's down in southern Italy, sunny, beautiful people, beautiful music, a much prettier place to be than where we are right now. So, good luck, and probably I will wait until tomorrow, probably, before I go on and tell you more about the movie. I think I told you earlier, that's partly to make sure you can manage to find a way to see this movie. All right, see you tomorrow, I hope.